What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Wanna Go Fishing. My name is Willie and I'm your host here at Wanna Go Fishing, and I am going to surprise you today. That's right, I'm going to surprise you today. Do something that I don't normally do. Well, we're going to go a type of fishing that I don't normally do. How about that? If you remember on the last video, my wife and I went to the antique store up in Virginia Beach. Now, we bought 2 reels while we were there. We bought a Langley Spin Flow, which you've already seen catch a few fish. Took it apart, put it back together, took care of the situation, got it out there doing things it was supposed to be doing from the beginning. Its intended purpose in life, to catch fish. And it did, and it's going to do it again sometime. But there was also a reel that was bought, a Zebco XB65. Now, that's kind of a cool reel, and I'm going to be honest with you, it was very smooth right off the shelf, and I was kind of stunned by that. Then I noticed that it said ball bearing. That's right, it said it, ball bearing. Well, a little bit of the sticker that was left said ball bearing anyway. So I looked into it, and it does. It has a bearing right up. It's the shaft bearing for the spinner, bail, and all that fun stuff. Thought to myself, Self, you haven't been catfishing in a long time. Self said, yeah, you haven't. So I answered Self. I said, Self, you want to go catfishing? Self said, yeah, why not? I said, well, we got to get fixed up for it. And he said, well, what are you waiting on? And I said, I don't know. I'm talking to myself. Anyway, we're going to get that reel tore apart. Okay, I'm lying. We're not going to tear it apart. You know why? Because I've already got it tore apart. I couldn't wait any longer. Tom Petty said the waiting is the hardest part. And he's right. Sometimes waiting is extremely hard. So I already took it apart. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you it in pieces. But I will show you it getting put back together again. So let's drop down to the table here and I'll show you it in pieces. Evan, if you would, bring on the pieces part of this video. So there you go. Did you get a good enough look at the pieces? It's in pretty good shape. I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised. Old grease inside, which honestly didn't look like it was anything out of the ordinary. It looked like it probably came from Zebco with it in there. There's a little bit of wear on the spool. I can see that it had some line on it, and so it's done some casting and some reeling in its day. And it's got the battle scars on the spool where you could tell it's been thrown down in the back of a truck or a floor or rubbed against some things in its time. So it's got its little bit of battle scars, but it was not used much. Not much at all. Well, hopefully I'm going to find a rod over here in this corner, and we're going to put that reel on it, and I'm also going to bring along a friend, a relative of it, a little bit higher class relative from the time frame. And we're going to have 2 rods, 2 reels out there, and we're going to do some catfishing. So let's get this thing cleaned up, get it put back together, and yes, I will show you the put together, but the put together is going to be fast. It's going to have some and it's going to be together. Zebco XB65 going to be out there on the water again. I'll be back with you in just a minute. It's cleaning time. Hey, we're back. I'm back. You may not be back. You may have left and just totally forgot what was going on, because I've been gone now for about 45 minutes. Because I also had to answer the door because people are selling security systems walking through the neighborhood. Anyway, we're back. I'm back. Hopefully you're back. Reel is all cleaned up. Now, on normal occasions, you're not going to hear me say things like, wow, this thing's really great inside, because every one of these is not great, okay? Some are okay, some are in good shape, some work, and some will try your patience. This reel, the way that it's put together, its engineering, I have to give it a 2 thumbs up on that. Just taking it apart, looking at the way it's made and the way it was put together, Zebco had their stuff together on this reel. Because a lot of times when you hear the word Zebco, the name Zebco, they're synonymous with push button, spin cast type stuff. You don't really hear a lot about their spinning combos and things like that, or spinning reels. But this one, it's a different bird here. This is a different breed. There's a lot of little things Well, not a lot, a few little things that made me just go, wow, they really they cared back then. Not saying that they don't now, but it's just a different world now. I think if this kind of thought process and engineering would have kept going, Zebco would be in a different realm right now. I would say they'd be up there with the Daiwas and the Flugers and the other big names that I can't afford. Anyway, let's get this thing back together again, and it's going to be kind of quick, but maybe you'll see. Maybe I'll hold up and point out some of the things, because it is going to be a little bit of an elongated rebuild put back together here. So anyway, I'm going to get you down to the table here, and we'll get some crazy fast music going and get this thing back together. So, there you go. It's all back together. The Zebco XB65. And I am impressed with this reel. Honestly, when I really looked into this and dug into this thing, it's built better than the Mitchells were. Even though the Mitchells were kind of bulletproof, really, and you could find parts for them just about anywhere, this thing here is impressive. The way it's put together, the little things, just the simple little things, like that little brass bushing that goes around the rotating piece for the slide to help it move easier, to have that bearing in the center there, and it's an open on the bottom side, so you can stuff that grease in there and get that thing working great. You just got to be careful with those little springs in there that work back and forth for the anti-reverse, because that flew out on me while I was trying to clean it and with the brush, and I thought I was going light enough that it wouldn't do that, and it did. And fortunately, I looked down in the sink and I could see it was no bigger than the hair on your head, thin wise. And I just happened to notice it and see it laying down there. Otherwise, it might have gone on down the drain. Always when you're washing these things, if you use the sink or whatever, keep a screen in your sink. We have a screen, to keep the nastiness from going down the drain. And fortunately, it saved me on this one. Otherwise, I'd have been looking for a part. But I mean, that's pretty good for a reel of that age. That's actually really good. So anyway, I'm gonna get over here, find a rod, get some line on here. I'm trying to debate on how heavy I want to go with this one, because catfish can get big. We don't know what we're gonna catch. We're trying for catfish, okay? That's the main thing. Let me get this thing on a rod, and it's probably gonna magically be tomorrow. What's happening, everybody? Well, we went fishing. I went fishing. You were with me. Things went south after that. We had everything from rain, storms. Didn't catch any fish with the Zebco. So I ended up walking over to the lake and just taking another rod that I had there, reel, and decided I was going to just fish at the lake for a little bit. And maybe just record a little bit of it. And, you know, I had a whole content scenario going on to kind of help for the fact that we didn't catch any catfish. And the reason that we didn't catch any catfish, that's a brackish river. And there's a lot of blue crabs. And I'm not kidding, I would cast and it'd hit the water, I'd get the slack out of the line and get tension, and within seconds, 15 to 20 seconds, 30 maybe, I'd immediately get a little, then a tug. Well, if any of you live in an area where there is brackish water or salt water, you know what that is, and it's crabs. It was every single cast. And the only thing I can figure is that at the bottom of that river is just loaded with blue crabs, just running up and down there, you know, like cockroaches in a sewer. You know, it's amazing. So I kind of gave up. I just said, man, I can't do this. I'm just not catching anything. But the reel worked really well. It did. It worked really good. And I would have loved to have shown you that it worked really well. But I went over to the lake and was on the pier and got into the crappie again over there and immediately began to smell smoke. Wasn't sure what was going on. But I looked down, the wind was coming off the lake toward me. And you know, I'm looking and casting, and the GoPro was basically burning up. There was smoke coming out of it, but it was blowing past me around my chest area because I had the chest mount on. So I immediately dropped a rod on the pier and tried to take the thing off and then tried to get it out of the case, and it was so hot I could barely hold on to it. I went to pop the bottom off to get as a matter of fact, I got burnt thumb and finger, or burnt from trying to hold it. And tried to get the battery out. Well, the battery had, I guess, either heated up and stuck inside or melted inside or swelled or whatever. When I pulled the little pull tab to get the battery out, it all came apart. So I couldn't even cut it off. It was just smoldering, just laying there on fire. Well, not on fire, but burning up anyway. That was the last of my GoPros. So how I'm going to do things now, I don't know. I'm going to work that out somehow. Part of life, I guess. Things break. Some sooner than others. But let's stop talking about that and let's talk about what's going to happen. Now, a lot of you have heard me mention the name Dan Selvig. Okay, me and Dan became friends over the vintage equipment. Dan is very knowledgeable in the vintage equipment and the Johnson Centuries and Citations, the 100s, the 110s, 710s, whatever. He knows a lot about because he actually lives in the town that originally built with the Johnson Company, technically. The factory was right there in his hometown of Mankato, Minnesota. So I contacted Dan when I got home here just a few minutes ago, and I said, Dan, got a problem. Got a reel that I've done a lot of work on and tried to fish with it. It's a good reel. Very well made, very well put together. For a Zebco, I was incredibly surprised at the engineering. And it's a shame that that type of engineering hasn't stuck with them through the years. But, you know, Zebco is more known for pushing buttons. That's what they're known for, spin cast stuff, or triggers. I said, but I've got this reel now that I can't really use because I don't have a GoPro anymore and I can't really film where I need to film, and I really don't want to take the super expensive camera that I saved up for quite some time to get out there in that type of environment. So what I'd like to do is mail this reel to you, and will you use it in a video and catch some fish with it, and it'll kind of be a part two, basically a collaboration between me and Dan. Now, me and Tim Hahn did this a year or so ago, more back. It's kind of the same thing. Tim used the reel, then he sent it to me to get my opinion of the reel, and it was a Daiwa Revros. So I'm kind of doing the same thing again here, but it's going to be me and Dan using vintage equipment that has been revamped, new line on it. I'm going to send it to Dan. Dan's going to put it on a rod. He's going to take it out there and catch some whatever. He catches some big fish. He catches carp, redfish, trout. He catches some large fish. And this reel is really, I think, really going to surprise him as it did me. And maybe you guys, if you watch. So I'm going to put Dan's channel right down here at the bottom. So you can, please, if you go to his channel, go ahead and subscribe to it. Dan does some cool fishing. He uses some old vintage stuff like I do. And the man's catches some big fish on some old stuff. It's kind of neat. Dan's very laid back, very easygoing dude. You're not going to hear a whole lot of lip like me. I was giving a pause so you guys could laugh and get it out of your system. So anyway, that's what's going to happen. We're going to send that Zebco XB65 to Dan Selvig, and he is going to catch some fish with that thing. He's going to put the video out and let y'all guys know when that reel is going to be fished with. So, with that being said, I appreciate you guys watching. Sorry about the technical difficulties. It was way beyond my control. So, at this point, I am technologically down to an extent and going to figure a way to get back up again. So, thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate you guys. Hey, we're getting closer and closer every day to 1,000 subscribers. Tell a friend. Call a friend. Hope you enjoy what I do. I enjoy doing it. If I could get away from technology, the world would be a better place. For me, anyway. Thank you guys for watching. We're going to see you on the next one, whatever the next one may be. I need a ham sandwich. And I did say I'm hungry this time, because I am. I haven't had anything but 3 oatmeal cookies, so get off me about it.